Now, a lot of things are going to be happening in this month of August going into September, and we see that the deep state, they're struggling right now, and they're hitting Q and everyone else as hard as they possibly can with whatever they have. And Judicial Watch came out and they released these emails that they obtained saying that FBI agent Peter Strzok insisted on maintaining special authority before joining Special Counsel Mueller's team. And basically what Judicial Watch is saying is that with these new emails, they show that Peter Strzok, his assignment, gave the Mueller Special Counsel Operations special authorities to target Trump. We know Strzok can't be trusted, and the special counsel should tell us if Strzok abused his special authorities to target Trump. And we see at this point that more and more of this information is being uncovered, and they're having a very difficult time trying to explain all of this. And this is why we're going to see maybe an event or other type of things happen where they can cover up what is happening in the news cycles. And you can see that they're bringing out everything they possibly can to try to cover this up, but they're going to need something much larger because the big stuff, it is coming. We see Trump, right, is out there once again, lashed out at Special Counsel Robert Mueller about the Russiagate investigation via Twitter, warning Attorney General Sessions to step in and end it right now. And he tweeted, "This is a terrible situation, and Attorney General Sessions should stop this rigged witch hunt right now before it continues to stain our country any further." Bob Mueller is totally conflicted, and his 17 angry Democrats that are doing his dirty work are a disgrace to the U.S. Now, the question is, why did Trump come out and say this? Now, of course, the White House came out and said, no, he's not ordering Jeff Sessions to stop. This is a tweet. This is his opinion of what Jeff Sessions should do. But that's not really what the message is all about. What is the message all about? The message is not to Jeff Sessions. The message is to Mueller and the others that are driving him. The message is, listen, if you don't stop now, you will be exposed. The American people will understand what you have done here. That's why he's talking about before it continues to stain our country any further. He's warning them what is coming. The declassification of the IG report, which is going to show the entire country what this is all about. And Trump right now is out there warning these individuals what is about to happen. Now, out in the Middle East and in Afghanistan and many different areas, we see changes. And these are very significant changes from what we used to have. And this is why we've covered all of this in the past. So the corporate media and those people that are coming out can't tell us, oh no, this is the way it is. Oh, we're going to war. Let me just say this right off the bat. Everything that we're looking at right now is not Trump and the Patriots pushing war. That's not what this is about. We're not going to war with Iran. We're not going to war with Afghanistan. We're not bringing in more troops. We're not continuing the war in Syria. We're not continuing the war in Africa. What's happening here is we're seeing changes. And these changes are coming faster and faster now. Yes, if we had a different individual in the White House, we would be heading to war. No doubt about it. Here, what we're seeing is something completely different. Right now, the U.S., and we discussed this before, is in Afghanistan. They're having peace negotiations, just like with North Korea, behind the scenes. So this is not the first one they're having. They've had many, many meetings with the Taliban. Actually, the meetings are going very well. And eventually what's going to happen is we're going to hear some news come out of Afghanistan that the troops will be leaving Afghanistan, that there's a deal made. Remember, the government that was placed in Afghanistan is a puppet government. It's a struggling government. The Taliban really controls Afghanistan. And what the U.S. is trying to do now, Trump and the Patriots, along with Russia, they're trying to have negotiations. This is happening behind the scenes. What else is happening? Well, remember all those special forces that were sent into 12 different African nations? Cameroon, Niger, Somalia. Well, it looks like the U.S. is going to be pulling the troops out of these areas. Very interesting. Remember, the paid mercenary armies that they were supposedly fighting against, they were getting funding from the deep state. Then the deep state would bring the troops in there to garrison those countries while pretending to fight Al-Qaeda, which they were funding on the other side. The funding is drying up now. There's no reason to keep the troops. North Korea, as we can see, they've had peace now, no missile firing. We talked about the report yesterday about, this was actually July 31st, that report, how the news story of North Korea developing an ICBM that's going to fire at the U.S. and destroy the U.S. is completely made up, fake, phony, and false. North Korea right now has returned about 50 boxes to the United States. These are the remains of Americans from 1950 to 1953 Korean War. And that's according to the initial forensic analysis. There'll be more headed toward the U.S. Trump and Kim Jong-un have been speaking with each other, and the whole thing is about peace. The same thing that's happening in Afghanistan. And I know a lot of individuals are saying, no, this is not going to happen. Yeah, it is, because you're going to see in a minute what's happening in Syria. We hear talks with Trump and Iran right now, where Trump is saying he's open to discussion, there's no preconditions, and Iran is saying, well, we're not going to have talks right now. Well, actually, Iran has been clear not to reject the idea of talks under any circumstances. This is the show that Q keeps talking about. Enjoy the show. And when you hear the corporate media saying, Iran's going to attack, they're building an army. No, they're not. What's happening here, this is part of the show, just like with North Korea. Our nuclear missile button is bigger than yours. We're going to destroy you. We're going to wipe you off the face of the earth. This is part of the show. What's going to be happening behind the scenes are talks. This is for the deep state, the corporate media. And this is part of the whole negotiation process that Trump and the Patriots use. And it keeps the corporate media very, very busy. Now, what's very interesting, we talked about how the entire Syrian war is coming to an end. The Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, the rest of the terrorist groups, the paid mercenaries that the deep state controlled, they're pretty much done for. And what we're seeing right now is that the Syrian authorities, they have begun implementation of the state program for the restoration of populated localities in the Aleppo Governorate. And remember, the Aleppo Governorate was liberated from all militants. They're asking the refugees to come back. There's over 1 million people that have returned to the governorate. And they're looking for ways to rebuild and make the country whole again. We also see the road to Syria's border crossing with Jordan. Well, we know the Syrian armed forces, the government, has taken control of the border. This was closed due to the conflict since 2011. Who controlled the border? Jordan, the deep state, Saudi Arabia. This is how they moved the paid mercenaries into Syria through the Jordanian border. Now Syria is looking at prospects of reopening it after recovering the border from the rebels. And what they're looking to do is to have trade again. Before all this happened, there were billions of dollars in annual trade that moved through this area. They're looking to reestablish this. Now, something interesting happened, and we mentioned this many reports ago. Russia just announced that Iran has pulled back from the Golan Heights area, about 85 kilometers from the Golan Heights. Now, of course, Israel's out there saying that this is inadequate. Now, remember, there were no Iranian forces. This is the show. This is for the world to show this is why we can bring the troops home. And what's going to happen here is the Iranian forces, whatever advisors are there, they're going to be eventually leaving Syria. There's no reason for them to even be there anymore. The war is over. Actually, Israel even says the Syrian war is over. And what we're going to see is the other announcements come out. We've already had the first one from Russia saying that they're pulling them back already. We're going to have another one that the advisors are leaving. And we're going to see something very interesting happen. We're going to see everything change. And we're already seeing this happen. It's happening right now, right in front of our eyes. UN peacekeepers have returned to the Golan Heights for the first time in 4 years. We're also getting word that American officials have informed their Lebanese counterparts of their preparations to withdraw forces from Syria. The Americans have sent a letter to the Lebanese Army Intelligence Department that said they are preparing to take the necessary measures to retreat their forces from Syria. So what I expect an announcement very soon. I would even say in a couple of weeks that we're pulling the troops out of Syria. Actually, this is all according to plan. And I believe Trump is going to make this announcement. How did we know this? Well, Q told us a long time ago, and from all the indicators that we've been watching, that this was going to happen. Why? Because we're going to have the parade of all parades on November 11th. In order to do this, and I believe this parade is about bringing the troops home, showing that we've ended the wars. We've ended the war in Afghanistan, in Syria, in the Middle East. All these individuals are back here in the U.S. And I think this is what this is all being built up to. Now, Q has dropped many more breadcrumbs, and we're going to start with post-1762, July 30th. What happens when CA, California, is in serious debt and lost priority aid from the Fed government due to sanctuary status illegal? They light fires. Now, we know there's a lot of wildfires going on in California. They're all over the northern part of California, destroying many, many homes, and these were very easy to light up because it's very dry there. What happens if you do this? Well, they declare a state of emergency, and then they require billions from the Fed. So they were cut off, and how do they get the money back into California? They have to create something, an event, and this is exactly what they've done. Now remember, these individuals that are still in the state governments and things like that, who are running certain areas, they don't care about people. They don't care what happens as long as they get their way. Let's continue with what Q was saying here. Why did POTUS reject in the past? Sick people, the more you know. And then put up a lot of different links to articles. One from the Washington Post. National Security Justice Department sues California over sanctuary laws that aid those in U.S. illegally. And we can see right now that this lawsuit dramatically escalates the Trump administration's war on jurisdictions with policies friendly to undocumented immigrants. Despite that, they're churning up chaos by starting these fires, which only serve to hurt its own citizenry, but they don't care about that. They only see their goal. They never care about the people. The people in charge, who are part of the deep state, they don't care what happens to the people. They don't see us as important. So let's continue here. Post-1763. Those you are taught to trust is in capital letters, the most, dark to light. Now, Q put up different links to articles. One of them was Vatican City. Pope Francis on Monday accepted the resignation of an Australian archbishop convicted in criminal court of covering up the sexual abuse of children by a priest. Another one is the nun no longer goes to confession regularly after an Italian priest forced himself on her while she was at the most vulnerable. Basically, what Q is saying here, those people that are in power, not just in religious power, but in government and many other, those people that you're supposed to trust, maybe your doctor and things like that, these aren't the people you should be trusting. These people were put into place. They were trained in a certain way, and you were told these are the people you should trust, but these people aren't the people you should trust. We also see another link for Project Safe Childhood. And Project Safe Childhood is a nationwide initiative to combat the growing epidemic of child sexual exploitation and abuse launched in May 2006. Now, either this is another area where they're using children, or Q is telling us that this is something that Sessions and Trump are supercharging to protect the children. Post 1764, July 30th. Let's read what Q says here. Nicholas Rasmussen, important name to remember, former director of NCTC, that is the National Counterterrorism Center. And then Q put up another link, McCainInstitute.org, Think FISA, Think No Name, White House Visitor Logs, No Name, Hussein, dates, White House Visitor Logs, No Name, Brennan Hussein, dates, White House Visitor Logs, No Name, Brennan Comey Hussein, dates, White House Visitor Logs, No Name, Brennan Clapper Rice Hussein, dates, replaced by DNI.gov, National Counterterrorism Center Director, Defense Intelligence Liaison to British Intelligence in London, Think UK, current director of the CIA, UK bio removed, and put up a link for CIA.gov, Gina Haspel, CIA Station Chief, London, UK. Furthermore, Haspel is seen as a Russia expert and a close ally of Britain's MI6, having been London Station Chief from 2014 to 2017. And he put up another link, Q put up another link, The Guardian, Gina Haspel, CIA Director, atone for past, the more you know. So the first link here is the Acting Director, National Counterterrorism Center, and this is, the individual is Russell Russ Travers, took office as the Acting Director of the National Counterterrorism Center on December 24th, 2017. He has served in a number of leadership positions, the NCTC, including Deputy Director, Senior Counsel to the Director, Acting Director of the Office of Data Strategy and Innovation, and the Chief Data Officer for NCTC. We also have Gina Haspel, who is the Director of Central Intelligence right now, which is the other link. Now, John Brennan, the CIA chief under the Obama administration, used Twitter to appeal for her confirmation. Skeptical Democrats, Senators, Brennan wrote, show that you put country above politics. Gina Haspel is a competent, experienced, and highly qualified intelligence professional. Ask her tough questions, listen to her answers, and then decide, but don't penalize her for previous policy decisions or because Donald Trump picked her. Brennan thought he was getting a friend in power, someone who would protect him. He was wrong. That's what he thought. Post 1765. Michael Avenatti's office. The feed. Did Annans get the wrong angle on this? That's coming from Anonymous. Q. Who is supplying feed? Feed as in the image, camera feed. Remember, the image is flipped. Why? It would appear Q's guys are taking pictures of bad actors. Think Mirror. What if the people in the vehicle are those working on Sunday at Michael Avenatti's office? Michael Avenatti's bad actors are the ones supplying the feed. The images have been taken from their phones. The man in black was the operator who just went and took the 2 photos of Michael Avenatti's office that Q posted moments earlier. Black attire, shades, poor facial angle. Nothing there can be used to easily identify the individual, even more so if he's an operator. The above would explain Michael Avenatti's nervousness in asking for help via Twitter. So Q says, who supplied the feed? Saudi Arabia, Clinton Foundation, we have it all. You access kills. Brackets, spooks, Q. So Michael Avenatti posted a picture of this individual on his Twitter feed, and he said, we are trying to identify the man in this picture, which was taken outside my office yesterday, Sunday afternoon. Please contact Newport Beach Police Department if you have any details or observed him. We will not be intimidated into stopping or changing our course. So when you look at this picture, you see this individual, but remember, he posted this on July 30th. Q posted this picture on July 29th. And if you look at both pictures, the one that Michael Avenatti has was flipped around. It's the same exact picture. So he's using the picture from Q. So when Annan brings his decode to the table, and this is what he says. Who supplied the feed? NSA, military intelligence, information, which Michael Avenatti shouldn't have access to. Saudi Arabia, Clinton Foundation, financiers, organizers, possible connection. Prince, Turkey plus MA plus Joseph Misfud, from essay to dossier, Clinton Foundation. We have it all. You access kills. Direct access kills. Proven many times with pics from warehouse, cockpits, cars, etc. Kills their options multiple steps ahead. Spook. Targeted. So let's go back to post 1745 for a minute, because in that post, which is July 28th, it says feeders of false info. And let's move further back to post 354, December 14, 2017. Remember, they consider you to be the fly, specifically the feeder. So flies and feeders. What do flies eat? Whatever they feed you. Avenatti's statement today wasn't one of panic. He's still terrified, but he wasn't panicking. He knew about all this. He was setting up a narrative to feed us. Well, not us, but everyone else, in conjunction with the deep state. It just took a day to get everyone coordinated. This Mockingbird Media 101, Avenatti is trying to play the victim, attempting to garner sympathy and set up a narrative where he's being bullied by big mean Trump. And that's what he was trying to do here. Post 1766. Q, July 30th, right on schedule. And there's a link here to the Daily Beast about Avenatti targeted in person by QAnon, the crazy pro-Trump conspiracy theory. So basically right on schedule. Post 1767, The Guardian, QAnon, 4chan, right-wing conspiracy theory explained Trump. And it looks like they're using QAnon and trying to say that this is a conspiracy theory, and they're continually doing this. If you notice, they haven't stopped. And Q actually says they're going to continue this. And if you look at post 1768, Anonymous, July 30th, lists all the different publications that are now reporting on Q. And Q says, look who's writing about Q in the 10 latest news articles about QAnon. They are pushing the Pizzagate, accusing actors of pedophilia angle. They're scared. They don't know what to do. So what do? They have to attack now, because the QAnon movement is growing. The truth is getting out there. Post 1769. Q says, feel proud autists, Annans, and patriots. You did this. You're taking back control. You have the power. Stay the course. Q. Post 1770. Obvious mainstream media coordination. Independent. POTUS coordinated attacks. Q coordinated attacks. Who, what else is under coordinated attacks by the mainstream media? Logical thinking. What do they know? Why won't they ask the obvious question? All for a conspiracy. Enjoy the show. Post 1771. Q puts up from Anonymous. Articles about Q. Why do they never ask the Annans why they are here? Real Annans are here as we follow the evidence. Documented, verifiable evidence. We are building the truth of our history so we can expose and dismantle the corruption that plagued our world for millennia. I invite any publication to print this as a statement of fact from an actual Anon. We do not tell you what to think or how to feel about a topic. We simply dig for truth and then present what we find. It can be scrutinized by our peers and further corroborated. The choice to know what we have found, verified, and presented to is entirely up to you. Presenting our work in a way to imply we are some sort of cult shows the world how corrupt the mainstream media has become. We are not about violence, subversion, or control. We are simply providing fact-based information, free of charge to the world. Where we go one, we go all. Feel free to share. And Q wrote, excellent. You cannot fool a massive group of dedicated gold star researchers. At what point does it become mathematically impossible? Comms structure designed for a very specific reason. Q. And when you have facts, all the propaganda, all the lies, it cannot stand up to the truth. It is impossible. And these individuals know it. The mainstream media, the intelligence agencies, that's why they're so worried. Because once you have the facts, they're screwed. Post 1772, July 30th. Put up a link, justice.gov. Tracking. Unsealed indictment. So let's read this link that Q put up. Joshua Adam Schulte, charged with unauthorized disclosure of classified information and other offenses relating to the theft of classified material from the Central Intelligence Agency. Joshua Adam Schulte was charged in a 13-count superseding indictment. The indictment in connection with his alleged theft of classified national defense information from the CIA, and then transmission of that material to an organization that purports to publicly disseminate classified, sensitive, and confidential information. Organization 1. The indictment also charges Schulte with the receipt, possession, and transportation of child pornography, as well as criminal copyright infringement. Schulte, who is presently detained on the child pornography charges, will be arraigned by U.S. District Judge Paul A. Crotty. We'll read a little bit further down here. The course of this investigation, federal agents also discovered alleged child pornography in Schulte's New York City residence. We and our law enforcement partners are committed to protecting national security. I'm going to read a little bit further down. These are marked off with red boxes. Country, but he blatantly endangered it by the transmission of classified information. To further endanger those around him, Schulte alleged received, possessed, and transmitted thousands of child pornographic photos and videos in an effort to protect this nation against crimes such as these. The FBI's Counterintelligence Division in New York will continue to keep our mission at the forefront of our investigation in protecting the American public. So right now we see that Schulte, this is one of the indictments that was opened up so we could see it. Let's move on to post 1773. Vault 7 CIA hacking tools revealed. The date is March 7th, 2017. This is what it's being pointed to. Q says, track last. Julian Assange offline cause. Julian Assange leaked Vault 7 early last year in March of 2017. Vault 7 really exposed the clowns, really hurt their operational capacity. After he did that, the clowns struck back. They cut off Assange's internet, took over the WikiLeaks site. Yes, they have control over his site. They're the ones posting there right now. Q said this in post 1595. You may have the site, but we have the source, where they control WikiLeaks, trying to push us in a certain direction, but they have Julian Assange. Well, someone in the CIA had to leak the stuff, and it looks like it turns out to be Schulte. He is the prime suspect of leaking the information. And of course, he says he's innocent. Let's move on to post 1774. Finally, this is July 31st, Q. Finally, public domain. Puts up a video on YouTube. Rod Rosenstein exonerated Manafort for the same charges 8 years ago. Put up another link for Politico. Mueller, Paul Manafort probe Rosenstein approves. And that was back on April 3rd, 2018. Can you locate the original court docs? Q says. And then says in brackets, RR, close brackets, open brackets, RR, close brackets, open brackets, RR, close brackets. So that's 3 times where Q says Rod Rosenstein in kill brackets. Next line down, open brackets, RR, close brackets, open brackets, RR, close brackets. 2 times Rod Rosenstein in kill brackets. The last line, open bracket, RR, close bracket. 1 time in the kill brackets of Rod Rosenstein, Q. There's no doubt that he was a plant in Trump's campaign. The Podestas wanted to link the Trump campaign to the Russians, but there's a huge question as to whether Trump knew he was a plant and got him to flip. He's been locked in solitary for so long now, but the distinguishing factor is he hasn't said a peep against Trump or otherwise. So Manafort's lawyer went to bring Rod Rosenstein up to testify first. So you have to wonder, what is Rod Rosenstein going to say? Remember, Rod Rosenstein specifically authorized special counsel Robert Mueller to investigate former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort and approved his indictment. Now, you can argue that it's malicious prosecution on Rod Rosenstein's part, but that would just end up making Rod Rosenstein look really stupid, with the case ending in simple double jeopardy. Do you really think he's forgotten what he did for Manafort just 10 years ago? Not likely. But what if Rod Rosenstein was acting on Trump's orders? What if he's doing this as a way to get his testimony entered as evidence in the public record, and to ultimately get this to lead back to the Podestas? You have to remember, the Podestas don't have immunity for this case. The 5 individuals who have immunity right now are James Brennan, Donna Dugan, Conor O'Brien, Cindy Laporta, Dennis Rako. If Rod Rosenstein talks, this could spell the real beginning of the end of the Russian collusion narrative. Of course, he'd have to step down after that. There's no way he could be seen as an unbiased after his testimony. The bonus to that is that Trump can appear completely uninvolved. Rod Rosenstein would be stepping down of his own volition, not getting fired by Trump. And maybe this is why Q put up 3 Rod Rosenstein, 2 Rod Rosenstein, 1. It's like a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Here it goes. And that's what we're watching for. Post 1775. There's pictures of QAnon, and Q says, people wearing QAnon shirts supporting Q. How often does the presidential motorcade honk upon request? And we showed this video once before. As the motorcade came down the road, they were honking at the individuals holding Q signs. Hashtag try harder, mainstream media. Hashtag ask the Q. Tampa rally looking great. Where we go one, we go all. Post 1776, July 31st, Q. Very interesting, 1776 shows the presidential pen, hashtag 1776. Q says, without the pen of the author of Common Sense, the sword of Washington would have been raised in vain. John Adams. Post 1777, July 31st. To the person holding the Q cutout, please post your pic vid as POTUS specifically pointed at you moments ago. We will scrub the web to find the source no matter where posted. We are Q. So, what happened next? Well, it looks like Q cites 2 posts from different Anons. The first Anon wrote 17 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 17 times, 17 times, 17 times, 9 times. And this means that he was referring to Trump's repeating 17 times, multiple times during his speech, the rally in Tampa tonight. Second Anon post a link to a Hill report. Says happening, the Hill verified account at the Hill. Trump rally attendee holds up a sign linked to infamous conspiracy theory. And at the rally, it shows We Are Q holding it right next to the president. Post 1778. Q says July 31st, the world is about to change. Post 1779. Q puts up 3,000 breadcrumbs. We are Q. Congratulations on 3,000 breads. MAGA. Congrats. Gift. And puts a link here. CNBC. Tony Podesta is under investigation following special counsel referral. So, Tony Podesta did not get off. He's under investigation. And this is what the article says. Federal prosecutors are investigating former lobbyist Tony Podesta, former Rep. Vin Weber, and former Obama White House counsel Greg Craig. Prosecutors for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York opened the investigation following a referral from the Office of Special Counsel Robert Mueller. So, remember when Q keeps saying this is a show. So, Mueller at this point, from this, what Q is showing us, Mueller most likely is a white hat working with Trump. But the others believe that he's working for them. Enjoy the show. Post 1780, a Wall Street Journal article. What are the FBI and CIA hiding? Kill brackets, UKQ. So if we look at this article, let's read a portion of it. Did the Central Intelligence Agency lead the FBI down a rabbit hole in the counterintelligence investigation of Trump's 2016 presidential election? Although the FBI's case officially began July 31st, 2016, there had been investigative activity before that date. John Brennan CIA might have directed activity in Britain, which could be a problem because of long-standing agreements that the U.S. will not conduct intelligence operations there. It would explain why the FBI continues to stonewall Congress as to the inquiry's origin. Further, what we know about the case's origin does not meet the threshold required by the Attorney General guidelines for opening a counterintelligence case. That standard requires predicate information. From what has been made public, all that passes for predicate information is, in this matter, originated in Britain. Stefan Halper, an American who ran the Center of International Studies at Cambridge, had been a CIA source in the past. Recent press reports describe him as an FBI informant. Joseph Mifsud, another UK-based academic with ties to Western intelligence, met with Trump campaign aide George Papadopoulos on April 26, 2016. Mr. Mifsud reportedly mentioned dirt on Hillary Clinton. Then on May 10th, Mr. Papadopoulos met with Australian Ambassador Alexander Downer in London, to whom he relayed the claim about dirt on Mrs. Clinton. Although Mr. Britton has exposed himself as a biased actor, the CIA has escaped criticism for using only thinly sourced information from British intelligence to snooker the FBI. Most damaging is the possibility that the CIA violated agreements with Britain by spying there rather than asking MI5 or MI6 to do so, and that may be what is really being withheld from Congress. UK in the kill box. This is what happened. They broke the law. They spied from that location. Remember Five Eyes. Post 1781, July 31st. Put up a link to Reddit, Great Awakening, comments, POTUS pointing at Q. So basically it's a picture of Q, and it says QAnon.pub on the back, and Trump is pointing directly at it. Confirmation. Post 1782, July 31st, Anonymous. The article is pretty damning and pretty authoritative. Writer is former FBI special agent. Best article I've seen yet to lay out the facts of the complex scenario as they are presently known by the public. And then Q put up the article, Boston Herald, FISA document reveal FBI collusion. Enjoy the show. And you can go and click on this link and read the article. But basically it's saying that the FBI, they were the ones who colluded, not President Trump. Post 1783, Anonymous shows a picture of two individuals. Under it, it says, I know it's a bit late, but thank you, Q, for the IRL. You watching a rally on TV does not come anywhere near the atmosphere of rally in person and up front. I had a blast to tippy top it off. I found out I was a Q drop. Best day ever. Q wrote, we saw you, Patriots. God bless. Where we go one, we go all. Post 1784. There's a link here. VIPs, Patriots, thank you, Q. And the link refers to a picture of those individuals that held up the Q sign. They're all wearing Q Anon shirts showing the letter Q. And it's saying from the rally, here's the back of the Q. Already posted a front picture of the Q earlier post. So Q calling them out, saying that, yes, we saw you, the president saw you. And we see right now, the deep state, they're going down. Just a matter of time. Look what's happening around us right now. It's all coming to an end. From the Middle East to here in the United States,